Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another Big Decisions by Anfield Index. There's been a lot going on off the field this week. There's midfielders having a rest, even if they are the best in the world. There's attackers getting minutes. Are they forcing themselves into the starting lineup? Are the comments of our rivals just funny? What XG can we put on that realistically? We have got four big topics as ever to talk about. And here, for the first time, I think it's actually his first Big Decisions appearance, truth be told, despite the 1,000,001 pods we've done. Is that right, Barts? I think this is your first Big Decisions where I'm going to grill you, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. I can't remember. You normally grill me most pods, mate, so I may be slightly different, you know?
Yeah, true. In that regard, funny story, and I can tell you this. David Lynch mentioned this to me today. He goes, "You're quite mean to that Barts and call him like nerd geek and all sorts." Like, yeah, but to his face, I'm quite open about it, and it's a sign of respect there. So we'll take it in that sense. But what are we going to talk about, ladies and gents? We're going to get Barts to decide and analyze, is Ryan Gravenberch the best midfielder so far? Are we that open this season, or is it just media hyperbole? Let's call it that. Do we have something our rivals don't in terms of our mentality? And then we'll save it to last because we all just love him at the moment. Federico Chiesa, does he deserve a run in the team? And I bet we've all got thoughts on this. So, Barts, are we ready to make some big decisions, my mate?
Of course.
Okay. Topic first up then. Ryan Gravenberch. Is he the best midfielder that we've had so far? And before you start to get into this a little bit, I do actually just want to play you a clip, Barts, as our first piece of evidence. So this was David Lynch as we were talking about the Everton game. Ryan Gravenberch, man of the match, goal and assist. He makes some pretty strong comments. So let's just have a listen to these.
He follows that up with a beautifully weighted assist. And then I thought everything else he did in the game, winning his duels, winning tackles as well, being that defensive shield, particularly in that second half when Liverpool were under the cosh a little bit. The manager said after the game, actually, would have liked to have taken him off around the hour mark. But of course, it goes 2-1 and he can't really do that. And thank goodness he didn't really, because I just think he's so important to helping Liverpool get through it in the end. He's just an utterly world-class midfielder now. I don't think there's any question about that. And very, very fortunate that Liverpool kind of stumbled upon this solution of him playing in the six, but he also, of course, is part of the rotation now, which works really nicely. So just a joy to watch him at the minute, but it has been for the past 12 months or so.
Undoubtedly world-class, Barts. A joy to watch him in that rotation of that midfield at the moment. Barts, Ryan Gravenberch, the best midfielder so far this season. Over to you.
I think he's very much, certainly the last two games included. So if you look at the Atletico game and the Everton game, I think he's been outstanding. I think, like a lot of our midfield, he took a bit of time to get going. I think some of his defensive work has been solid all season. I think the thing that's impressed me, he's always above 50% for duels. He's always above the aerials. He's always doing exceptionally well, sort of at least 2 in 3, if you like. So yeah, because he doesn't compete for a lot, but as long as he's doing his more share, then he's up there. And he always does well to stop a lot of the threat that he faces. So that might not appear in another metric because it doesn't turn into an event like a header dual tackle, but he always blocks the passing lane, which prevents the threat ball or something else. So although interestingly in Everton, he actually had his worst performance for that defensively. But I think why I'm saying now, you might be thinking, oh, now why now? He's added that attacking part to his game. Yeah. Traditionally, you and I, we've grown up with midfielders of old that used to do the whole lot. But when we went through the sort of back end of Rodgers, maybe some of the dark times, but then you got Klopp very much had this is your role, right? And then you do this, you do that, and it was a unit, right? So we the Fabinho lighthouse was he did all the defensive work. The others did their bit as well, but his main priority was to do this, which meant that these boys went and did this. I think now you're seeing an evolution back potentially the other way, and Gravenberch is showing that he can do both. I mean, in that last game, as I said, defensively he was still good. I'm not. Please don't. He just wasn't where he's been before, but his passing was in the mid 80s. You know, his receiving was really high for a pivot player. That's really important. He then makes 10 final third passes, which Grab just wasn't doing. He struggled to get 10 because Grab's game is carries. He picks the ball, like the classic Grab, drop the shoulder, turn and take the ball. It is a carry. He doesn't normally get on the ball and play the pass. So the fact that he's now mixing that up is a something to really behold. In the last game, and I agree with Lynchy, he's moved from being a low percentage EPV threat creator for the side of between 0 and 5%. He's now in double figures for the team. So that's a real big shift, right? And to do that per 90 to bore you even more, because it is last season he finished with an XT threat per 90 of 0.10, right? He's already at 0.15 for this season. So he's 5% more than he was last year, right? Progressive passes made last season was 1.99 per game. He's at 5, right? Carries
moved to 5.
He's moved to 5. And what I was saying to you about that change. So carries last season he was 5.16. So let's call it 5 a game. Now he's reduced that to 2.5. So what he's not doing in the carrying, he's passing the ball more. So I think as an all-round package for us, he's just giving us a different dynamic because I think teams, I mean, we chatted a lot on Sat Me Up, the fact that teams had found out Grab a little bit back end of last season and were letting him do stuff and then winning the ball off him. We couldn't get out. Whereas now, because he's now saying, well, I can actually pass the ball, thank you. I'll try and dribble it, but actually I'll do a bit of this as well. I think this could be a really good evolution of Grad's play. So I would suggest he's in the form of his life for us. I think Dom's still up there though. I mean, Dom has got some great XG numbers, as we know. He's
hold that thought because I knew you were going to come in for Szoboszlai because I think you recognise two of your esteemed colleagues on the screen right now, and this is what they said on the last UP about Mr. Szoboszlai. Let's have a listen to this.
So when the first time I saw him, I thought, oh my God, this is hyperbole, obviously, but the only other player I remember that can do all of these things to this level, Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard's a killer. Steven Gerrard was an absolute killer. He would sell his nan for a goal. He is like, he was the ultimate Bobby Big Balls. He thought he was the best at absolutely everything. If somebody was going to do something on the pitch that was going to break the opposition, it was going to be him.
That's your esteemed colleagues comparing Dominic Szoboszlai to probably my favourite ever player, I'll be honest about it, Steven Gerrard, which is, I mean, there's high praise and there's high praise. And to be fair, as I says, he calls it hyperbole there.
Yeah.
So is Dominic Szoboszlai a challenger for the best so far in midfielder then?
I think Grav's evolved, right? I think Dom's just gone up a level though. Dom, the only element in which Dom is not as good as last season is threat, which is he's playing slightly deeper, if you get what I mean. So so his threat's going to take a bit of time to adjust from having played 2.5 games right back, 1.5, 10 and a 1 in midfield. But the carries, he's increased his carries from last season only by about 0.5, but still per 90 is pretty good. His passes, again, he's increased his passes by progressive passes, that is, from 4 to 6. So, and it's just his XG is taking a bit of time as well because, again, he's been playing deeper, right? So he's added a different armory. He's not just that third man run. He's getting on the ball and playing the pass as well as the dribble. And I actually think watching us now, and you go to the game way more than I do, but those two in the middle of midfield, as much as I love seeing Dom play right back, by the way, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah.
But having Grav and Dom as your pivot, and the way they've done the last 2 games, I think they've been outstanding. And they've given such a platform for players to play because they've got energy. They're putting in over 10K a game. They're doing the sprints, the top speed. They can pass, they can carry, they can shoot, they can do all of it. And it doesn't matter if one attacks, the other one seemingly works. It's like the old school Whelan and McMahon, or do you know what I mean? A midfield of just guys that were just footballers that could do everything. And I think that's the side that I've really enjoyed seeing of these two now, is because, again, Dom got a bit of pigeonhole to being, he's a 10. Or he's not really a 10. He's a winger we brought in, and he's there for his energy, right? Well, this season he's showing all of it. You know, he's showing. I mean, I know I said Grav had a great game last game, contributing 10% to our team threat. Dom was at 12. So he's a notch above in terms of our threat. His tackles, he was same level of pass success as Grav, receiving success as Grav, and defensive stats the same. If not, he tackled a few more players, and he stopped 100% of the threat coming his way. So I think those two together, I would make the case of being that is, for me at the moment, is where we need to be building our midfield base from. Now, it's not really a base because we've said they're a bit flexible, but I think having those two in the middle of the park is the way I think we're going to get the best tune out of this side. Because I don't know about you, but that Atletico first half I thought was some of the best football of the season that we've played. Yeah,
literally couldn't agree more. The first halves recently, that Atletico one, the start against Everton as well. It's like it's almost woken up rather than just the first. We'll see what happens and then save it in the second half. Jobs that have been coming up, but you're right. Those two have been absolutely pivotal to it. And I never thought I'd say this. This is not being derogatory about either of these players, but I'm just going to be honest about it. If you told me at the start of the season who's going to shine in midfield, I was like, well, McAllister's our best midfielder all round, to be fair. And Florian Wirtz is obviously a superstar plug and play option type of thing. But it doesn't mean they've been bad. It's just the standards of Szoboszlai and Gravenberch are so high. Those two have building into it. And maybe even actually, Curtis Jones's cameos have been the most impressive out the remaining ones.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing with Curtis, right? We say it a lot on other shows, everybody talks about it. It's just unfortunate he's in this mix of midfielders, right? Because I genuinely think he would start with most Premier League sides, right, 100%. In midfield. Because whenever he comes on, he doesn't give the ball away. Right, I mean, Everton, he came on. What was his pass rate? Let me just find that for you, just to give you an exact number.
Just elite ball retention. Yeah,
it's just elite ball retention. He misplaced one pass against Everton, like one ball he misplaced, and he was on the pitch for 33 minutes. So, you know, he receives it in a really high amount. It's just basically if you're winning the game, which typically he's coming on when we are. He's outstanding to do it because he just goes on, right, CJ, I want you to go and keep the ball in this area. And he'll go, all right, yeah, no worries. And if you're controlling it in a phone box, you know, it'd be incredibly difficult to get the ball off. So, yeah, I think Curtis's cameos have always been impressive. But I think this time around, because he's come on when the game's in a bit of flux, if that makes sense. He's come on and it's been like, right, I need you to go and do X. And he's gone on and gone, yeah, all right, no worries. And do it. Newcastle played really, there's some games where he's really been highlights. I thought he was outstanding at Newcastle. And Mac and Flo have been, I think it's fair to say, I don't want to use the word struggled. I think they've just not quite got there. Mac, for the reason he had a hernia operation in the summer, he's not. He clearly not had a full pre-season. He's not quite up to speed yet, and the only way with slots training is that you get fit by playing. Right? Yeah. So that's where he is. So until he gets that rhythm, he's only going to get it by playing. And at the moment, he's not playing very well. So it's kind of a hit and miss. If you look at the Everton game, for example, he leaves is it Gay or the guy in 10 yards of space, and I realises at last minute that's his man, and the guy smashes the back of the net, right? And yes, there were other key parts in the chain that could have meant that we could have started a move, but he's also a bit slow on the ball. His retention's not as good as it was. So yeah, there's a few elements I would say where it's not quite happening for him. But he's a different kettle of fish. I mean, I was looking at how Barts' stats have changed from last season. So I always talk about he's actually, in terms of threat, last season he was doing 0.19 per game. This time he's doing 0.15. So there's only a little bit difference. So he's still in good areas. It's just not quite coming off in terms of the final ball. Flo is passing in terms of progressive. He was making 6.7 last season. He's making 5.5. So it's gone down 1. The big difference with Flo this season is carries. So he was carrying the ball progressively 5 a game, right? He's now at just over 2. So he's just not carrying it in a, used to a progressive for anyone who wants to know, you have to move the ball 20% or 20 yards closer to goal, right from where you pick it up. And it has to be in the final 2/3, typically. Opta have a slightly different definition. But so that shows you that the carry, when he is dribbling it, it's not for the length of distance or towards goal as he was doing for Leverkusen. So an XG, I mean, I'm not going to beat the guy up, but it's a third of what he had last year. So there's lots of elements where you can see he's not quite in sync with the players around him. Again, I thought he was better against Atletico, I have to say. I thought that was probably one of his best games for us. I thought he was exceptional, really. Just trying to look at the stats for him. So, yeah, against Atletico, he contributed 10% of our threat. His passing was in the high 80s. He made 18 final third passes, which is something he just wasn't doing. He made 7 progressive passes in that game. He made 6 passes in the penalty box. So that Atletico game, with the boys we've already said, really showed you what this team could be once they're all on the same page. Because in that game, Atletico game as well, Mo was involved. He managed to link play with Mo, and we had Mo ripping it down one side. You had Cody being better down the left, should we say. You had the 9 we've chased all summer, and then you had the midfield unit playing well. So, yeah, that was a real little window of potentially what we could do. But no, I think overall, the 2 boys have said they've gone up a level. I think Mackie's still trying to find his level from last year. Now, whether that means he goes to joins those boys or just comes up, we don't know yet. And Flo is still trying to settle in, and they probably look a lot worse because the other 2 boys have just taken their game up to a level I'm not sure any of us would have put, like you said, if we were putting bets on what we expected to say after the first block of games, I'm not sure Grav and Dom being second and third best players for Liverpool Football Club would have been up there. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose then, for the final, to really answer it fully, you're right. I do think the 2 have especially gone up a level. But as the question said, and the big decision, is Grav ahead of Zob so far, or is that Zobo, or is that just too strong?
I think it's too strong personally. I think Dom's still a notch above.
Direct all comments via Dr. Phil Barts, Barts Manor people. There you go. That is the first big decision made.